DJ equal? Perfect. O branch is the correct choice. Light is solid response. A non-mechanical wave is a valid choice. Light isn't. Valid point. Electromagnetic radiation is true. C is called. You chose an harmonicity constant. And it is correct. Mobile phase? Great job. Solvent is the accurate answer. Eins are dash. Well done. All of the above is the right choice. What is light? You're right. A form of energy is the correct answer. Light velocity? 3x1 is the correct choice set. Emma stands for. Nicely done. Electromagnetic radiation is a solid answer. Light waves are. Good job. Your answer transverse works well here. Water waves are. Correct response. Surface is the most accurate answer. Base peak may be. Nice work. You chose highest intensity peak, and it is correct. Full form of so. Right again. Statement of objective is a valid answer. Stationary phase. Good thinking. Column is the right answer. Where do I leave? Clear logic. Your choice same Baryang is sound and 100% true. Smallest frequency? Nice selection. Microwaves is the correct and valid answer. What is my number? On track. 985121249 is the correct answer. What is amplitude? Right choice. Height of wave is the best answer. Hot bands are correct. Excellent. High temperature is a brilliant choice. Lithium flame test? Sharp thinking. Red is the right choice. Full form of Nemephiz. You got it. Your choice nuclear magnetic resonance is right. A equal to Kasi. What is A? Smart move. Absorbance is an accurate answer. Overvus is a type of. Excellent choice. Molecular spectroscopy is the right answer. UV visible region is. Exactly. 200 800 makes sense and it is right choice. What is NAMASA stand for? Strong choice. Nuclear magnetic resonance is the right answer. Unit of wave number is. Correct. CM1 is the right answer. What does a wave carry? Bravo. Energy is the answer. As wavelength increases. Well picked. Frequency decreases is the correct answer. Her car isn't a Toyota. Great thinking. Is it? Is the right choice? Zeeman shift is given by. Well reasoned. A bubble 4 pi m is the correct choice. Splitting occurs only in. Sharp thinking. High resolution H NMFA is the right choice. Select a UV light source. On track. Deuterium lamp is the correct answer. The source of UV light is. You're right. H2 lamp is the correct answer. Mass spec dash at 43 meters. Smart move. Missing word, peak, is an accurate answer. bending vibration appears. Well done. Lower than 1400 Simu1 is the right choice. Lucia can play the drums. Excellent choice, can she? Is the right answer. Plasma is created in dash. Great job. Torch is the accurate answer. Which number is amplitude? Nice selection. 3 is the correct and valid answer. Emission spectra come from? Smart pick, hot, low-density gases is the correct choice. Microwave spectroscopy uses. Correct response. Microwave frequency is the most accurate answer. Mass spectrometer requires. Great thinking. High vacuum is the right choice. Spectroscopy deals with. Exactly. Vibrational energy makes sense, and it is right choice. Spectroscopy can be used to. Right choice. Identify unknown substances is the best answer. Range of a spectroscopy is. Solid response. 4400 cm1 is a valid choice. Who invented the telescope? Excellent. Hans Lippershey is a brilliant choice. Stronger bonds absorb Erat. You got it. Your choice, higher wave numbers, is right. Which is not fragment loss. Well picked. Benzalcation is the correct answer. Plot of N-Jaser against J gives. Perfect. Gaussian curve is the correct choice. Continuous spectra come from? Correct. Dense gases is the right answer. Absorption spectra come from? Valid point. Cold, low-density gases is true. H+ is an abbreviation for? You chose high-pressure liquid chromatography. And it is correct. Metal ion with a lilac flame. Well reasoned. K+ is the correct choice. The frequency in ESA falls in. Nicely done. Microwave is a solid answer. Which process powers the sun? Bravo. Nuclear fusion is the answer. Mr. Houck's favorite food is? Good job. Your answer, sushi, works well here. Radiation sources used in us. Good thinking. Line sources is the right answer. Microwave spectra come under? Clear logic. Your choice microwave region is sound and 100% true. Our energy causes the bonds to? Right again. Vibrate is a valid answer. The spectra of most stars is? Nice work. You chose absorption spectrum and it is correct. Pat has a cozy flat in Boston. Strong choice, doesn't she? Is the right answer. The name of the O ion is dash. Great thinking. Hydroxide is the right choice. Retention factor, also known as? Exactly. Capacity factor makes sense, and it is right choice. Vibrational spectra deals with? Nicely done. Infrared region is a solid answer. Its fragment has a mass of 15. Well reasoned. SHA+ is the correct choice. Identify the of radiation range. Strong choice, 200-400 M is the right answer. Full form of NMSA spectroscopy S. Solid response. Nuclear magnetic resonance is a valid choice. Which number is the wavelength? Smart move. 1 is an accurate answer. The energy levels are shown as perfect. Rings is the correct choice. What is the name of our galaxy? Correct. Milky Way is the right answer. Joules can be converted to cm1. You chose divide by HC, and it is correct. Identify ounce is useful to dash. Clear logic. Your choice other option is sound and 100% true. The sun is an example of a dash. Excellent choice. Star is the right answer. What information can't Namaser find? Valid point. Molecular weight is true. Irradiation can bring change in. Well done. Vibrational change is the right choice. Incandescent lamp is a source of. You're right. Air energy is the correct answer. The Johnsons aren't from Canada. Good thinking, are they? Is the right answer. Stars emit this type of spectrum. Great job. Absorption is the accurate answer. Retention factor can be used for. Smart pick. Identification unknown compound is the correct choice. The type of relaxation in no is? You got it. Your choice, dipole is right. It is such a beautiful painting. Nice work. You chose, isn't it? And it is correct. Increasing order of wavelength is? Good job. Your answer X-ray of air microwave works well here. What color are the hottest stars? Sharp thinking. Blue is the right choice. The range of irradiation is dash. Right again. 700 nm is a valid answer. Doug isn't watching TV right now. On track. Izzy is the correct answer. Which one is different from them? Excellent. Flame atomizer is a brilliant choice. Elastic scattering is called dash. Correct response. Rayleigh scattering is the most accurate answer. How many AMASA signals in propane is? Well picked. 2 is the correct answer. Inner thermocouples are used as a right choice. Detector is the best answer. The microwave active molecules are? Bravo. Both A and B is the answer. A sharp band at 3060 Timi was due to. Nice selection. Free O is the correct and valid answer. The onions gains electrons to dash. Correct. B neutral is the right answer. The basis of air absorption is dash. You got it? Your choice vibrational transition is right. White light is the entire range of. Good job. Your answer colors of visible light combined works well here. Lanthanum was used to overcome dash. Great thinking. Chemical interference is the right choice, which is an example of a radio wave. Right choice. Television is the best answer. In rotational spectra, line spacing. Right again. Is equal is a valid answer. Describes range of color dispersion.
Excellent. Spectrum is a brilliant choice.
Bond length can be determined using.
On track. Moment of inertia is the correct answer.
Signal splitting in Mr. arises from. Good thinking. Spin-spin coupling is the right answer. M plus 2 dash 1 of 3 observed in case of.
Well done. Chlorine is the right choice.
Which elements exist in every star? Well picked. Helium and hydrogen is the correct answer. What does modern astronomy rely on?
You're right. Spectroscopy is the correct answer.
It causes a bond to stretch or bend.
Great job. Infrared radiation is the accurate answer.
Range of microwave radiation is dash.
Correct response, 10517 mnm is the most accurate answer.
The ground state term for V3 plus ion is?
Excellent choice. Maybe is the right answer.
Electric and magnetic fields produce.
Clear logic. Your choice light is sound and 100% true.
An atom's atomic mass comes from its.
Solid response. Nucleus is a valid choice.
What is the full name of FID detector?
Valid point. Flame ionization detector is true.
What does refracting telescope have?
You chose lens, and it is correct.
The molecule which is inactive is.
Nice selection. Both N2 and O2 is the correct and valid answer. Stark-Einstein's law is applicable too.
Strong choice. Primary process is the right answer. A particle of light is called a dash. Nicely done. Photon is a solid answer. In a flame test, the dash are excited.
Bravo, electrons is the answer.
Mg stock solution was diluted in dash. Well reasoned. Hydrochloric acid is the correct choice.
What star color would be the hottest?
Perfect. Blue is the correct choice. The possible J values for 30 term are.
Sharp thinking. 3 is the right choice. Number of vibrations present in water. Exactly. 3 makes sense and it is right choice.
What is the wavelength of gamma rays?
Nice work. You chose 1013 and it is correct.
Liquid chromatography is an example of. Smart pick. Column chromatography is the correct choice.
The primary filter is placed in between.
Smart move. Source and cell is an accurate answer.
Has compressions and rarefactions dash.
Well picked. Longitudinal is the correct answer.
What is the source of energy in stars?
Nice selection. Nuclear fusion is the correct and valid answer.
Spectroscopy can be used to study dash.
Right choice. The ages of stars is the best answer. The molecule which is microwave active.
Nicely done. Higgsy is a solid answer.
If an atom gains an electron, it is a.
Excellent. Negative ion is a brilliant choice.
What format can the spectrum report?
Sharp thinking.
All correct is the right choice.
Sarah is traveling by plane to Seattle. Well done. Isn't she? Is the right choice.
The hottest stars appear as what color? Great thinking. Blue is the right choice.
Of radiation lies in range between dash. You got it? Your choice 100-400 nm is right. Most of the sun's energy is a result of.
Nice work. You chose nuclear fusion, and it is correct.
What did William Hyde Wollaston invent? Bravo. The first spectrometer is the answer. You didn't like the concert last night?
Good job. Your answer, did you? Works well here.
Who is called as father of spectroscopy?
Correct. Fraunhofer is the right answer.
In general, chemical shift is measured in.
Excellent choice. ppm is the right answer.
The excessive intake of iron causes dash.
Great job. Siderosis is the accurate answer.
Which transition requires higher energy?
Exactly. Sigma the sigma makes sense, and it is right choice.
Spectral region of rotational spectra is?
Strong choice. Microwave is the right answer.
Microwave spectroscopy deals with the dash.
Valid point. Rotational motion is true.
What is the range of fingerprint region?
You're right. 50-100 cm1 to 400 cm1 is the correct answer.
The energy region of NMESA spectroscopy is?
Perfect. 4900 ms is the correct choice.
Spectral region of electronic spectra is?
Good thinking. OV visible is the right answer.
Which mode is suitable for cyclic olefins?
Solid response. Retro-Diels-Alder reaction is a valid choice.
Stars are made of mostly which two gases?
Clear logic. Your choice hydrogen and helium is sound and 100% true.
Which atom has the largest atomic radius? Smart move. Francium is an accurate answer.
What causes the splitting of emitter signals?
Right again. Spin-spin coupling is a valid answer.
Microwave active molecules must have dash. Well reasoned. None of them is the correct choice.
Quenching dash the fluorescence intensity. You chose decreases, and it is correct.
Which reaches the surface of Earth easily?
Smart pick. Radio wave is the correct choice.
What emits light on a continuous spectrum?
On track. A star is the correct answer.
The spectra of atoms of different elements.
Correct response. Are always different is the most accurate answer.
The first discovered zinc metalloenzyme is?
Perfect. Carbonic anhydrase is the correct choice.
In SHO oscillator, the energy levels are?
Bravo. Equally spaced is the answer.
Vibrational frequency of C equal 2 is maximum in?
Correct. Hako is the right answer.
Identify the base value of aromatic ester. Exactly. 230 nm makes sense, and it is right choice. How many 1-emitter signals will acetone give? Excellent. 1 is a brilliant choice.
Name the instrument used to record spectra?
You're right. Spectrometer is the correct answer.
Mass spectrum is mainly useful for finding
Clear logic. Your choice, molecular weight, is sound and 100% true.
which element does not give an unmiss a signal.
Well picked. Wood 20C is the correct answer.
Condition for the molecule to be reactive.
On track. Change in dipole moment is the correct answer.
Mr. Hauck's favorite Greek god-goddess is? Right choice. Athena is the best answer.
Electromagnetic radiations consists of dash.
Valid point, photons is true.
M waves have the same speed but different.
Right again. Wavelength and frequency is a valid answer.
The brightness of a star is seen from Earth.
Great thinking. Apparent magnitude is the right choice.
Not an example of electromagnetic radiation.
Correct response. Sound is the most accurate answer.
What is the electron configuration for O2?
Well done. Funstosities 2s and 2p6 is the right choice.
What is the limit of detection for IFPUs?
Excellent choice. Part per billion is the right answer.
Magic angle in solid state AMSA spectroscopy.
54.74 is a solid answer.
Which of the following can give MESA signals?
Smart pick. All of these is the correct choice. The luminosity of a star describes its dash.
Nice work. You chose brightness, and it is correct. If an atom has an extra neutron, it is a
Strong choice. Isotope is the right answer.
What is the equipment used in spectroscopy?
Good job. Your answer spectroscope works well here.
The color-forming regions are known as dash.
You got it? Your choice chromogenic regions is right.
The independent variable on an spectra is
Smart move. Wave number is an accurate answer.
which telescope use lenses to collect light?
Well reasoned. Refractor is the correct choice.
Zeeman effect is observed in the presence of.
Good thinking. Magnetic field is the right answer.
What is at the center of every large galaxy?
Nice selection. Black hole is the correct and valid answer.
SEAS identified adulteration in honey by using.
Great job. Numerous spectroscopy is the accurate answer.
You'd like to stay with us next week, Dash.
Solid response. Wouldn't you is a valid choice.
Infrared rays have a shorter wavelength. Then,
You chose radio waves, and it is correct.
all electromagnetic waves have the same dash.
Sharp thinking. Speed is the right choice.
What days is the spectroscopy course taught?
Valid point. Friday is true.
Which color of light has the highest energy?
Perfect. Blue is the correct choice.
Selection rule for microwave spectroscopy is. Great job. J+1 is the accurate answer.
The term not allowed for MP2 configuration is?
Correct response. ZD is the most accurate answer. How many symmetric stretching observed in No2?
Right again. 1 is a valid answer.
What instruments are needed for spectroscopy? Nice selection. Spectrometers, spectrophotometers, and spectrographs is the correct and valid answer. A cesium ion is observed in dash fragmentation. On track. Aldehydes is the correct answer.
Which type of waves are used in broadcasting? Exactly. Radio waves make sense, and it is right choice.
What is the main website used in this course?
Well picked. W.1 in is the correct answer. Mostly used spectroscopic detector in HPLCs.
Good job. Your answer, UV, works well here.
What ratio does the mass spectrometer detect? You're right. Mass to charge ratio is the correct answer. You don't like to work out in your free time.
Well reasoned. Do you? Is the correct choice.
How bright a star appears to be is called dash.
Smart move. Apparent magnitude is an accurate answer.
Absorbing irradiation excites the dash motion.
Bravo, vibrational is the answer.
Aviva's radiation has higher energy, hence lower. You chose wavelength, and it is correct.
Which of the following could have 82 neutrons?
You got it. Your choice bar 138 is right.
How do scientists know what stars are made of? Ooh.
Solid response. Emission and absorption lines is a valid choice.
Radio waves and dash are used in communication.
Correct. Microwaves is the right answer. OV visible radiation wavelength ranges between. Sharp thinking. $209 800 Nimers is the right choice. Highest mass peak in mass spectrum is called as. Smart pick. Base peak is the correct choice.
Which sequence shows an increase in frequency?
Great thinking. Red, yellow, green, blue is the right choice.
The lowest energy term for D6 configuration is?
Excellent. Take is a brilliant choice.
The disadvantage of the air acetylene flame is?
Well done. High burning velocity is the right choice.
Which of the following molecules is non-mester active? Nicely done. Boron is a solid answer. The wavelength range of rotational spectrum is? Nice work. You chose 10-2 to 10 cm and it is correct.
The x-axis in mid-Earth spectrum is typically dash.
Clear logic. Your choice wave number is sound and 100% true.
The highest energy electromagnetic radiation is?
Right choice. OV visible is the best answer. Past back effect is observed in the prints of. Good thinking. Strong magnetic field is the right answer. Ionization interference affects which elements? Strong choice. Alkali metals is the right answer. What does a short wavelength of light indicate? Excellent choice. High energy is the right answer. It is used to identify the bonds in a molecule. Nice selection. Infrared spectroscopy is the correct and valid answer. Which electromagnetic wave has the most energy?
Clear logic. Your choice, X-rays, is sound and 100% true.
What can spectroscopy determine about an object?
Correct response. All of the above is the most accurate answer.
One must has chemical shift values in which range?
Perfect. Also 10 ppm is the correct choice. Monochromatic light means light of a single dash.
Right again. Wavelength is a valid answer. How bright a star actually is called its dash. Excellent. Absolute magnitude is a brilliant choice.
What is the history of spectroscopy credited to?
You chose all of the above, and it is correct. The fingerprint region in a spectra ranges from solid response. 1500-700 Sigma-1 is a valid choice. In hyperchromic shift, extinction coefficient is well picked. Large is the correct answer. Which color of light has the longest wavelength?
Nicely done. Red is a solid answer.
A pure substance shows dash spot on chromatogram. Well done. 1 is the right choice.
Peter, you shouldn't work so much anymore. Dash.
Right choice. Should you is the best answer.
During stretching, vibration dash remains constant.
Smart pick. Bond angle is the correct choice.
What is the unit for measuring infrared radiation? Nice work. You chose CMM1 and it is correct.
Who is referred to as the father of spectroscopy?
Correct. Joseph from Fraunhofer is the right answer.
All electromagnetic radiation travels at the same.
Valid point. Speed is true.
The lines we saw in the spectroscopes were called.
Smart move. Bright line spectra is an accurate answer.
What is the product of a nuclear fusion reaction?
Bravo. Helium is the answer.
Radiation source for visible spectrophotometer is? Excellent choice. Tungsten filament lamp is the right answer. Which of the following has the largest frequency?
Strong choice. Violet is the right answer.
The number of peaks in 13 CMS for Chh3 to Chh3 is? Exactly. 2 makes sense and it is right choice. Which telescope collects light with just a mirror? Well reasoned. Reflector is the correct choice. In order to be active, the molecule should have. You got it. Your choice dipole moment is right.
The reference compound used in Nemesis spectroscopy is.
You're right. TMs is the correct answer. Electromagnetic radiation used in NMR spectroscopy. Great job. Radio waves is the accurate answer.
Condition for a molecule to be microwave active is.
Sharp thinking. Dipole moment is the right choice. What determines the kind of light an object emits? Good thinking. Its temperature is the right answer. The Hubble Space Telescope will be replaced by the on track. James Webb Telescope is the correct answer. Which of the following is not an oxochrome group? Great thinking. O2 is the right choice. Our star, the Sun, falls where in the SR diagram? Good job. Your answer main sequence works well here.
Microwave spectroscopy is generally used to detect.
Correct response. Isotopes is the most accurate answer.
Which of the following has the greatest wavelength?
Great thinking. Radio waves is the right choice.
Which types of transition require a lot of energy?
You got it. Your choice, sigma-sigma antibonding, is right.
What species does the molecular ion break down to? Or
Good thinking. Radicalization is the right answer.
how many MM bonds are present in 2?
Perfect. 1 is the correct choice.
The microwave spectra can be recorded on samples in
Smart pick. Gaseous state is the correct choice.
What is the chemical shift of CH3 proton in phase H3?
Right again. 2.2.5 ppm is a valid answer.
Can methanol be used as solvent in a spectroscopy? Correct. No is the right answer. The James Webb Space Telescope collects dash light.
Solid response. Infrared is a valid choice.
If an electron moves between rings, it is called a. Well done. Transition is the right choice.
Light has characteristics of both a wave and a dash. Bravo! Photon is the answer.
The properties of light waves that cause color are well picked. Frequency is the correct answer. A photon of wave number 171 has a wavelength of valid point. 100 mem is true. What are the reactants in a nuclear fusion reaction? Excellent choice. Isotopes of hydrogen is the right answer. The separation between energy levels is smallest for.
Exactly. Rotational makes sense and it is right choice.
The therapy used in detoxification of heavy metal is.
Nice work. You chose chelation therapy, and it is correct. We need to buy some vegetables at the grocery store.
You're right. Don't we? Is the correct answer. The pattern on the paper in chromatography is called.
Nice selection. Chromatogram is the correct and valid answer. Which elements can be measured using emitter techniques?
Sharp thinking. All correct is the right choice.
The term symbol for ground state of nitrogen atom is well reasoned. 4XA is the correct choice.
Which instruments are commonly used in spectroscopy?
You chose spectrometers, spectrophotometers, and spectrographs, and it is correct.
Energy levels of an anharmonic diatomic molecule are
Excellent. Unequally spaced is a brilliant choice.
the bright lines that we see in the spectrometer are
Nicely done. Emission lines is a solid answer.
the relationship between wavelength and frequency is
Smart move. Inverse is an accurate answer.
what happens to frequency when the energy increases?
Strong choice. It increases is the right answer.
As J value increases, the energy of the energy level.
Good job. Your answer increases works well here.
What model of the atom are we using from here on out?
Clear logic. Your choice Bohr is sound and 100% true.
Deduce the number of fundamental vibration in methane.
Great job. 9 is the accurate answer.
Which mode is observed in fragmentation of alcohols?
Right choice. Homolytic mode. I is the best answer.
Highest mass to charge peak in mass spectra is called.
On track. Molecular ion peak is the correct answer.
What is the difference between flamas and ichthyosis?
Right choice. Atomizer is the best answer.
Emission spectra can tell us the dash of a substance.
Correct response. Components is the most accurate answer.
An absorption towards shorter wavelength is called as
Solid response. Hypsochromic shift is a valid choice.
which of the molecules do not belong to linear group?
Clear logic. Your choice H2 is sound and 100% true. In which method is white light shown through the sample?
Valid point. As is true.
Which one of the molecules belongs to spherical tops? Sharp thinking. CXCl4 is the right choice. In case of chromatography, the solvent risen up due to. You're right. Capillary action is the correct answer. What is another name for flame emission spectroscopy? Great job. Flame photometry is the accurate answer. Molecules which are having dash are microwave active. Perfect. Dipole moment is the correct choice. Gyromagnetic ratio for electron for its spin motion is.
Strong choice. 2 is the right answer.
The most widely used detector in spectrofluorometer is. Well done. PMT is the right choice. The calibration method used in this experiment is dash.
You got it. Your choice external standard is right.
The infrared radiation lies between 14,000 to -1. Excellent. 20 is a brilliant choice. The type of electrons present in carbonyl compound are. Good thinking. All of these is the right answer. Stars give off heat and light in a process called dash. Smart move. Nuclear fusion is an accurate answer.
What is the term for light emitted by a hydrogen atom?
Bravo. Hydrogen light is the answer. The amount of light absorbed by a sample is called its. Well reasoned. Absorbance is the correct choice. Which is the electron configuration for an oxygen atom? Exactly. Fisitons 2p4 makes sense, and it is right choice. What is the absorption maximum value of 1,3-butadiene? On track. 217 nm is the correct answer.
The current atomic spectroscopy method was developed by
Smart pick. Now Walsh is the correct choice.
Which color of visible light has the greatest frequency? Great thinking. Blue is the right choice. Dash is a form of energy that we can see with our eyes. Nice selection. Visible light is the correct and valid answer. Which of the molecules have infrared active vibrations? Nicely done. And 2 is a solid answer. When will the 1-Mr signal of the methyl group appear? Good job. Your answer less than 5 ppm works well here. What is an advantage of single-beam spectrophotometers? Correct. Simplicity is the right answer.
Factors contributed to the spectral broadening are dash.
You chose all of these, and it is correct.
What is a limitation of double beam spectrophotometers?
Well picked. Complexity is the correct answer.
A star is born in a cloud of gas and dust called a dash. Nice work. You chose nebula and it is correct. Which mass analyzer is most frequently used with MALDI?
Right again. Tough is a valid answer.
Radiation source used in atomic absorption spectroscopy. Excellent choice. Hollow cathode lamp is the right answer.
How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format?
Valid point. Contact Narayan Changder is true.